Malicious software, such as spyware that is running on a computer, can give the attacker way too much information, including usernames that you're using, passwords that you're using, what websites you're going to, what applications you're running, as well as other sensitive information that the attacker should not have. So I wanted to take a few minutes in this nugget and talk about the concept of spyware, provide an example of it, and also some countermeasures that we can use if spyware is running to help protect our passwords. It was in 1998 when I downloaded a little application from the internet that was a golfer whacking game, where you have the mallet and you hit the golfers. And unknown to me at the moment I downloaded it, that also included, when I installed that little fun application, that also included a tool called NetBus, which is malware, malicious software, that when run on a computer, allows that computer to be compromised or manipulated by an outside person or outside party. And with NetBus, it could do things like keystroke logging, keystroke injection, screen captures, we could launch applications, we could browse files, we could shut down the system, we could open or close the CD, that's when they had trays that went in and out. There was also a tunneling protocol associated with NetBus as well. And it was really, really nasty. And that was close to 2 decades ago. And the malicious software today has been keeping up with the times. So as far as where does spyware come from or how does it get on our systems, very often it's something the user clicked on or did that installed the software. It's also very likely, from a malicious perspective, going to be hidden on the victim's computer, so it's not obvious that it's running. And then it can either store the information that's been recorded, report it out to the attacker, or both. So if this is Bob's computer right here, and Bob's been spending a day doing various activities, we could have the information about those activities, the keystrokes, screen caps, etc. We could have information about those activities stored up and then sent out. And we could send those out in many different ways. We could send them out via SMTP email messages, or we could trickle it out through a stream that looks like ICMP traffic, or we could FTP it out, or we could hide the contents in some other type of file and then send that file out. And one of the methods of hiding that data before we send it out is called steganography. And the attempt is to make sure that if anyone sees that information on the way out, they'll just see it as a music file or something else that's not too sensitive, and allow that information to be sent on its way. So on our Windows computer, let's open up a browser. Here's Internet Explorer. And let's go to www.spytech-web.com, and we'll press enter. So on the main page, we can download a trial. Also, if we want to click on software and then scroll down, that also gives us the option of downloading a free trial of Spytech's Spy Agent. So we'll click on the free trial download link, and then we'll once again click on download to download Spytech Spy Agent. We'll go ahead and click on save. And then we'll go ahead and open our downloads folder to see that file. So there's Spytech Spy Agent. We'll right click, we'll expand it by clicking on extract all. We'll click on extract, and there's a password needed. Now it tells us right here in the dialog, the password is Spytech in lowercase. So we'll supply the password of SPYTECH and press enter. In that expanded folder, we have a file called setup. We'll launch that by double clicking on it, and we'll click on yes to continue. And then we'll click on next a few times to go ahead and do the install. For the demo, I'm going to do the administrator/tester and click on next. And next again, and then we'll also click on yes to include an uninstaller. So continuing with the setup, I'll click next again and click on close to go ahead and run Spy Agent now that it's installed. We'll click on continue. It wants us to configure a password, so we'll click on continue to do that. I'll use my lab password of nugget !23 with a capital N at the beginning, and we'll confirm that as well. So with the password set, we'll click on OK. And it says the password has been changed. We'll click on OK. Next is identifying that there's a wizard we can use to quickly set this up. So we'll go ahead and click the box to continue. I'm going to do the complete plus stealth configuration. Click on next. Some of the options in the setup include the ability to send logs to yourself via email. We could display an alert on startup indicating that the spy agent is running. We can also specify that this agent, the spy agent, should run every time the computer is started. So for this demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and say load on Windows startup and click on next. It's giving me a confirmation, and we'll click on next to continue. It says the configurations have been applied, and we'll click on next. And now it says the configuration is finished, so we'll click on finish. Now it says this is the Spy Agent interface. We can click here to continue, and it's asking if we want to see the getting started documentation. I'm going to say no to that. And then to hide this Spy Agent screen, if you don't want it there, it's a Control-Shift-Alt, and then M as in Mary. It's asking me for the password that we created earlier. I'll specify that. And with the password in place, we'll click on OK. And now it's giving us a notice that's going into stealth mode. This message will not appear again. We'll click on OK. That's giving us one more message indicating that the monitoring is active. And if you and I do not want to see any of these help tips anymore, we can simply put put checks in those boxes which say do not show, and then click in the box to continue. So now check this out. If this software that's now running on this computer was close all the windows. So now if the user opens up a browser, and let's say they go out to https://www.paypal.com, like that, and they press enter. Now if this user logs in, let's go ahead and let's make this a little bit bigger. So I'll click on login, and for the username, let's say it's bob@acme.org. And let's say Bob's password is our lab password, NUGGET !23. And then we can click on login. Now, unfortunately, in the background, that spy agent is capturing everything. What files are being written to disk, what keys are being used, what sites are being visited. So unfortunately, Bob's password, if it really is uppercase NUGGET !23, that's now captured by the keylogger. So if there is a keylogger running, what could we do possibly to help foil that? Well, one of the things we might do is we could put in some characters, like just random characters like that, and then we could type over them with the password that we're going to use, but not do it all at once. We could, for example, type some here, and then maybe go to Notepad, type there. We could copy and paste some of the characters in. And the idea would be just to mix it up a little bit so somebody looking at a keylogger couldn't cohesively put the whole picture together as far as what your password really is. Or if we had a graphical keyboard like this one right here, we could bring that up and we could actually type a few of our characters in that field as well. And that would help cover the tracks regarding what the real password is. So since we're not really going to log on, let's go ahead and close that. And all that information that's being collected is now ready for the attacker. So if the attacker has some kind of remote control of this PC, the attacker could then go back to this PC, issue the command to bring up the spyware. In this example, it's Control, Shift, Alt, and M as in Mary. Put in the password. And this shows 98 keys were used, 9 windows logged, 746 file events logged. A lot of those are going to be background tasks that Windows is doing. However, the attacker is going to get information as far as what's going on with those files. There's 8 websites logged. There's 392 connections logged. And if there was email involved as well, which we didn't use, there could also be email activity that is being tracked. So if we go down to keyboard and mouse, and we look at the keystrokes log, and it's asking if we want to disable user account control. I'm going to say no for the moment. Here's Internet Explorer and the keystrokes we use there. So I typed in this, then I did some backspaces, then I typed in pal, then I did some more backspaces, and then I did pal.com. I don't remember doing that, but I must have recorded it. And that's interesting. I mean, that's like the detailed keystrokes I used as I typed that in. I pressed enter, I logged on as bob@acme.org, and then I put in the password of nugget !23. And then I demonstrated how we could use some bogus keystrokes that weren't part of our password, highlight that, and then type over our real password. So once a tool like this spyware, has been running for a period of time on a machine, pretty much nothing is safe. Everything the user's done has been recorded, and then once the hacker gets access to this information, it could even lead to additional access and privileges for that attacker as he starts to use that information. In this nugget, we've demonstrated how damaging spyware and malware can be when it's running on a system. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.